Welcome. You're welcome to today's session of PMP Exam Power session with Jumoke. Today is version 9, and today we'll be looking at tips on adaptive and hybrid life cycles for PMP exam. PMP actually is the standard when it comes to project management globally. So it's a gold standard when it comes to project management. So my approach and responding to questions will be based on PMI's perspective of managing projects. But like I said, since it's the gold standard, we are in good hands if we did that. So I would like to talk about the objective of today's meeting. The objective is to provide guidance for PMP exam candidates with focus on adaptive and hybrid approaches. Okay. So generally, we'll be looking at adaptive, and the topic we'll be looking at is understanding that your mindset has to shift. Understand the mindset shift. And that is because Agile is not a methodology. It is a mindset that is based on collaboration, customer value, and responsiveness to change. You see, often when you are using the adaptive methodology, you will be interacting constantly with your customer. And that is where the product owner interacts with the customer, and the product owner presents the customer's value proposition to the development team. So it's a constant relationship. So you need to understand that you cannot just take decision. If you are the scrum master or you are one of the team members, you can't just take decisions. The decision would have to pass through the product owner to the customer, because the customer has to have say, input, in what you are going to do. So you need to understand that. And the collaboration part is the team, the product owner, the customer, sorry, I'm having sore throat. The customer working together. Now, the focus of adaptive is to deliver value. So the earlier value is delivered, the higher, or that's the measure of work being done in adaptive. Unlike predictive, that you have schedule and milestones, and as long as you are following the milestones and you are delivering, even though the customer doesn't have any value, you can't use anything, they are okay with it because it is plan-based. For adaptive, it is when they get value, when they can use what you are working on, that is when they can actually attest that you are working. So you need to be aware of this mindset shift. Secondly, you also need to know when to use what. When do I use predictive? When do I use adaptive? When do I use hybrid? Predictive is the traditional way of managing projects, and it is plan-based. You know the end from the beginning, so you can plan that, okay, this is what I'm going to do month 1, second month, third month, this is what I'm going to deliver. And you're able to do that because your scope is well defined, so it's predictive. Adaptive, when the scope is evolving. I have an idea what I want, but I'm not very sure of it. And my all-time example is WhatsApp. When WhatsApp started, at the point it started, we couldn't make calls, we couldn't do conferencing, we couldn't form groups, but they started on just sending messages on data, and we were excited. And as we updated our app, we had access to more usage. The usage kept increasing. Then we could make calls. Then we could do conference call. Then we could form groups. And even the groups are increasing. Before it was 256, it turned to 512. It's as a result of continuous work, iteration. It's a continuous iteration, and that is why we are using that. So you use adaptive methodology where there will be changes, because anytime your WhatsApp, for instance, or your Microsoft Word collapses or goes off, there's a message that comes. Do you want to send the message or the error to Microsoft? If you did that, that would be feedback from you to Microsoft to be able to work or adapt whatever they are doing to your feedback. So you use predictive when the scope is well defined. You use adaptive. From the word adapt, you are adapting, okay, to evolving requirements. So you need to, when you are reading your questions, you need to be able to situate the question that, okay, this is a predictive environment or this is adaptive environment. And if it's hybrid, you need to know that it has a combination of predictive and adaptive. That's what the hybrid is. Now, the topics we'll be treating today: 1, agile principles and mindsets. It doesn't mean I'm going to go into details. I'll go over them and refer you to do some readings yourself. 2, agile practices and tools. 3, hybrid approaches. 4, agile team leadership. 5, metrics in agile and hybrid. 6, stakeholder engagement. 7, exam practice tips. And 8, summary cheat sheets. All right. So 1, agile principles and mindset. By now, if you are preparing for the PMP exam, you must study the Agile Manifesto and its 12 principles. The Agile Manifesto, will give you the 4 values. You should know that. And the more you read the manifesto or the values, the more it makes sense to you. Okay, where interaction is preferred over tools, where collaboration is preferred over contract signing. There are only 4, and the 12 principles to make sense. So read, and in fact, the word here is study so that you know it. Another thing you need to know is you need to focus on customer collaboration, early and continuous delivery. Because if it is not early and continuous delivery, then we are talking about predictive. But if you are talking about agile or adaptive, you are talking about customer collaboration where change requests can be made anytime in the project, and then you want to deliver value early. That is why you have the iteration, because at the end of every iteration, you are delivering something, or you are delivering something that will contribute to maybe a release in 6 weeks or 8 weeks. We know that an iteration should be between 1 to 4 weeks. Okay, and so you also need to welcome change, like I said, and you are working with motivated teams. You see, agile team members, they are self-organizing. In fact, we call them generalizing specialists. So they are motivated, they are experienced, they are knowledgeable. Okay, so these are the things you should know about the agile team. My tip on this is expect situational questions, because the exam is not going to ask you what is adaptive, what is predictive. It's going to paint a scenario and would ask you that, as a project manager, what should you have done to avoid this? What should you do to address this? Or what is the first thing to be done after this? So I would be treating some questions with us at the end. So what should the project manager do in this agile context? Anytime you're answering questions, you should situate the question, because the same scenario under predictive and adaptive will not be handled the same way. So you need to first determine what methodology or approach is this scenario painting or this situation before you come with the answer. So 1, agile principles and mindsets. Go and study the Agile Manifesto and its corresponding 12 principles. And you need to know that agile focuses on customer collaboration, early and continuous delivery, it welcomes change, and it is implemented by motivated teams. The second one, agile practices and tools. You need to know key frameworks such as Scrum and Kanban. You need to understand time boxing. When you say sprint or iteration, sprint is for Scrum and iteration is broadly for agile. When you say time boxing, for every team, they would have a fixed, that's the time boxing. Maybe every 1 week will be the end of an iteration, or every 2 weeks will be the end of an iteration. So you need to have that. The time boxing is based on a lot of things, depending on the experience of the team members, the complexity of the projects, so you need to understand what time boxing is. You also need to understand what daily stand-ups and daily stand-up. This, we call it, is part of the ceremonies that you have. Ceremonies are the same as meetings, okay? So the daily stand-up is usually between 5 and 15 minutes. Some people will not even say that, so that you don't extend beyond 15 minutes. And in the stand-up meeting, what do? You address three things. One, you address what you did yesterday. You tell the team, my name is Jumoke. Of course, you know each other, so you don't need to introduce yourself. Yesterday, I did ABC. Today, I'll be doing DEF. That's the second one. One, you will tell us what you did yesterday. Two, you will tell us what you are going to do today. And three, you tell us if you have any challenge. Maybe yesterday, as you were working, something happened. Okay. You are saying that because the work of one of the main things that the Scrum Master does is to remove impediments or blockage. Or sometimes when you state the challenges you encountered, one of the team members can step in and say, okay, I will help you to do that because you work as a team. So daily stand-up meeting, you do this daily from the name. And then you have retrospectives. Retrospective is when after an iteration, you sit with your team. Now, predictive is also using it. You sit with your team to determine what worked well or what went well and what didn't go well. So you want to know what went well so that you can replicate it in the subsequent iterations. And what didn't work well, and you can even ask why didn't it work well so that you have understanding, so that you don't repeat it in subsequent iterations, or you work on it to improve it so that you can repeat it in subsequent iterations. So retrospective is actually towards enhancing value delivery, because when you perform retrospective, it will help in subsequent iteration or sprints or projects. And then backlog refinement, when in adaptive, the product owner works with the customer to identify the value that the customer wants. So the customer say, I want this, I want that. And it is written down in epics. Epics are large chunk of work that you need to break down into user stories or features. FEATURES. You break that down. Now, when all these things are broken down into user stories and features, where you itemize those things is called product backlog. Product backlog. So when it is listed, the product owner works with the user, the customer, to prioritize them. So, customer B, you have listed 70 things. Let's order them in order of priority to you. So it means the topmost one is the one that is of utmost value to me. And I want you to start work on that. So this prioritization of the product backlog is the refinement. And that is presented to the development team or the project team. And it is from that product backlog that has been prioritized that the team will pick what they can work on. Now, what they can work on is dependent on the velocity of the team. The velocity of the team is dependent on the total story points they can accomplish. The story point is based on the task. In adaptive, we don't measure time, we measure effort. So the story point is a reflection of the effort it will take to get the work done. So when the team picks the user stories, the features that need to be worked on. They will now determine the work to get it done, to get whatever they have picked done. Now, the work, the development team will also come up with iteration or sprint backlog. It means itemized work in order of priority, what will be done after the other. Okay, so you need to understand that. And you also need to understand what we mean by definition of done. Definition of done will be defined at the beginning so that when we achieve this, it means we are done with this iteration. Then you have bend down charts as well as bend up charts. Bend down charts, I use candle as an example. The whole length of the candle is an indication of the total work to be done or the total iteration to be done. So as you bend the candle, the bent part is what has been done. The remaining part that is yet to be bent is the amount of work or amount of iterations that is left. So that is bend down. We also have bend up. The bend up refers to amount of work that has been done. So when you start your project, the bend down, you have the in terms of length, it will be the tallest. And as work is being accomplished, it will be bending down. Bend up, at the beginning, it is 0. As you work, it's accumulating. It's accumulating. So you will have it increasing in height. So that is bend up and then bend down. These are just tips. So please read more about it. Okay. And then velocity. I think I mentioned or I explained velocity not too long ago. That is the amount of work within an iteration that a team will do. You also need to understand work in progress. You see, when you have your Kanban board, you have to do in the first column, and then you have ongoing or doing in the middle column, and then you have done in the third and the last column. Risk is enhanced or activated in the doing or the ongoing. You know, it's like a parked car. If you have a car and you park the car, the tendency or the probability of the car hitting someone is almost 0. It is when you start driving that the car may hit someone or someone may hit the car. So it is the work in progress. That is where risk is enhanced. So you want to limit the work in progress, or you want to push work in progress just in time. You don't want them hanging there. All right. So you need to also understand and read about work in progress. I've explained definition of that. My tip is be ready to distinguish between tools used in agile versus predictive. All right. The third one is hybrid approaches. When it comes to hybrid, because it is made up of adaptive and predictive, you would have to do some tailoring. You have to do some tailoring. Please, if you are joining the Zoom, know that the session is being recorded and it will be uploaded in our YouTube, and the link will be shared if interested. Okay. And even those that are on TikTok, if you're interested, just get in touch with me. I will share the link of the recording with you. So, because hybrid is a combination of predictive and hybrid, you need to know which aspect you are tailoring. You have to tailor the approaches, because you can't say for every aspect of hybrid, I'm going to use predictive. For every aspect, I'm going to use adaptive. You will need to know when to use what as in tailoring. So you need to understand, one, that you will use predictive for planning or reporting. If you are answering any questions or you are reading anything that is talking about planning at the beginning, know that it is predictive. Even if it is hybrid, it is the predictive component of the hybrid. So if you have a project, the tailoring part is that you will use predictive to plan the project, the hybrid part. Then you will use agile for iterative development cycles. What iterative means is you plan in bits, right? You plan in bits, okay? And then the value can also be delivered incrementally. For instance, if you have a project and you calculated everything and you need 20,000 Ghana cedi, or because I'm in Ghana, we use cedis. You need 20,000 cedis to do the work, but you have only 5,000 cedis. What do you do? Do you just keep the 5,000 cedis and you go to sleep? No, you can break the project down and find out what 5,000 can accomplish. So you do that of the 5,000, and then value can be delivered. Okay. And your customer will see value and probably even look for money. Or you have been given order, you are a caterer, you have been given order to deliver 100 packs of jollof rice, or let me use jollof rice because Ghana has the best jollof rice. Jollof rice, okay? But your saucepan can only do for 15. What do you do? Do you go to market to go and look for saucepan that can do 100? Or you talk to your customer to say, I have what can do 15 packs at a go. So let me deliver incrementally. So, okay, that's good. The first part you bring, we use it to serve the kids. And the next part, we use it to serve the elderly. The next 15, we use it to serve the pregnant women. So that is incremental value delivery. All right. And my tip for this is expect scenarios in your exam like you are managing a software model using Agile within a larger predictive program. That is a hybrid because it has told you that you are using Agile for a software within a predictive program. That's hybrid. So what is the best communication strategy? I think I have a question like that later. Now, the fourth thing I would like to give you tip on is Agile team leadership. In Agile, you don't have the project manager telling the team, oh yeah, do this, do that. No, they are self-organizing and cross-functional team. They are experienced, they are knowledgeable. On TikTok, please keep liking my live. If you are here, please, thank you. They are self-organizing. So you have the work, you have come up with the work, and you have the iteration backlog. Individually, this one person will say, I will do this, I will do that, based on the work that you have in the iteration backlog. That is what we mean by self-organizing. So the work of the Scrum Master is not to tell anyone in the team that this is what you have to do. No, the team members themselves are knowledgeable enough to pick work. Okay, so that is the struggle. When I work on adaptive or agile projects and I have people that are mainly predictive mindset, is the challenge. They don't understand why you cannot plan from beginning to the end. They don't understand, lots of things. So when you are reading your question, be mindful that the agile teams are self-organizing and they are cross-functional. The project manager or Scrum Master removes impediments. If you are working on an adaptive project, your responsibility is to remove impediments or blockage or problem from the path of your team members. That's what you do. And then you creating the awareness of agile mindset within them, and they using the mind and the agile or adaptive tools. That's what you do. You are not giving anybody work. And also to facilitate the ceremonies, like the stand-up review meeting, retrospective meeting. That is what you will be doing as a Scrum Master or the project manager. You also facilitate collaboration and you serve the team. You are a servant to your team. So if you have someone that loves power, the person will struggle being a Scrum Master or a project manager in Agile environment. So you need to master this, okay? My tip for you is that the leadership in Agile is servant leadership. You model the leadership traits that you want to see. You do not command, you do not control people, okay? And the fifth tip is you should know the metrics in Agile and hybrid. Know the metrics. Know the difference between value-based metrics. That is customer satisfaction. I said earlier that the way you measure the how you are delivering or how well you are doing is how early value is delivered to the customer. It is not by some long, huge, heavy reports. No, it's by how early you get value into the hands of your customer. That is the customer satisfaction, and then delivered value. But traditional, the metrics you use is earned value, where you are comparing what you planned against what you have done. You're also looking at your schedule variance. With what time? We said we're going to spend 6 months. Did we spend 6 months or we spent 8 months? That's one of the things you are measuring. For adaptive, it doesn't work like that. It is the value and how early you deliver the value into the hands of your customer is what is being measured. The tip here is Agile measures success by value delivery, not just time and cost. Okay. Now, the sixth one is stakeholder engagement. In Agile, they require continuous stakeholder involvement. So when the product owner goes to the product team or the project team or development team and receives feedback, it gives it to the customer. The customer also gives feedback. The product owner relays to the development team. So constantly there is communication. In fact, it is very rare in Agile for what you will deliver not to be what the customer asks you to deliver, because there is constant interaction and the stakeholder is involved. In hybrid environments, you may need to tailor communication frequency and content depending on stakeholder needs, because remember, the hybrid is made up of predictive and adaptive. So the predictive aspect is when you give a report. Like anytime you hear every 2 weeks we give report, it's likely going to be a predictive because then it's set. Okay. And the tip here is watch for questions on how to keep stakeholders engaged and informed in an evolving project. Sometimes you read some questions and you can tell that this stakeholder is a difficult one. And the question is asking you that what should you do? Please don't go into how you will react normally or respond normally, because the project is not about you, it's about the stakeholders. So your responsibility as a project manager is how to make your stakeholder happy. So you look for options that speak to that and not by you like giving cheeky answer to your stakeholders. The seventh one is exam practice tips. So I've spoken about 6 tips. I'm on the 7th one now. Get an interactive time box simulator. People want to write exam and they are looking for somebody to give them questions. It doesn't work that way. Or they go online, then they Google for questions. You can get some questions, but they are not interactive. What I mean by interactive or time box is you get a simulator, like the simulator that I use. When you are my students, at the end of the first class, you start answering questions, and they come in 10 questions each for 12 minutes. So you start practicing the time boxing right from week 1. So 10 questions, 12 minutes, and it locks you out. And then it gives you the review. It gives you, the justification so that you can review the session. I say, oh, okay, I got this wrong. This is the right answer because of the. And I tell people, pay attention to the justification because it's a learning point. Anytime I write exam and I have to use simulator, it is during the review session when I'm giving the justification for the answer. That is when I actually study. That's when I make notes so that I understand the principle behind the answers and that I can apply those principles to similar questions when I see them. So please spend money on simulator. If you want simulator, you can ask me because I also sell simulator. And so look for one that focuses on adaptive and hybrid scenarios. 2, get practice questions of about 120 to 180. So I spoke about quizzes. So I have about 30 of such. So that's 30 times 10, 300. When we finish the training, and I give you your simulator. This simulator is made up of 6 exams. The first exam is 100 and is time box for 120. The second exam is also 100. The third, fourth, fifth, sixth exam are 180 questions, 230 minutes. So you start practicing this before you write the exam. It's important you get this because the exam now is well above 50% on agile and hybrid methodology. Okay. Each question you see, ask yourself this: what is the mindset? Is it adaptive? Is it predictive or hybrid? Then 2, what is the role of the team, or what is the role of the project manager? 3, what would serve the most value here? For every question, you have to run this in your head. Is it predictive? Is it adaptive? Is it hybrid? Okay, what is the role of the team, or what is my role as the project manager? No matter the title you have, when you are writing PMP exam, you are the project manager. So what am I supposed to do? And then whatever option that you are taking must be the one that will give the most value in the question. So the more you practice, the faster you are able to do this analysis on each of the questions. Okay. And the last but not the least is a cheat sheet that I come up with. I'm very sure I'll be putting this on an artwork or flyer and promote it on my LinkedIn anytime this week. So if you look at the first column is the serial numbers. If you look at the second column is the focus area. So and then you have the key concept, and then you have the PMP exam tip. The first one is agile mindset. The key concept here is that you are delivering value to customers. So that should be what is ringing in your head. And then it is flexible. There is nothing like, oh, we planned this, we have planned it, we can't change it. There's nothing like that. So that is the key concept. And then the PMP exam tip is that you choose value-driven responses. Whatever response in the question, whatever response you believe will give value to your customer, because for Agile, the customer is the king. The customer drives it. Okay, so you will choose value-delivering responses. 2, roles as focus area. For adaptive and hybrid, the key concept for roles is that the team members, the project manager, the scrum master, must lead through servant leadership style. And the team members are empowered. That's why they are self-organizing. Okay, so that's the key concept when it comes to role. Servant leadership, you modeling the leadership traits you want to see, and you serving your customers. Serving your team members. That's why I said that the Scrum Master removes impediments, serves, even if, oh, there's no food, you'll go and get how they will get food faster, so that they can concentrate on the project. When it comes to tip for the project management exam, project manager facilitates, does not control. Project manager in predictive, they have somewhat control, like controlling, do this, sit here, penalizing. For adaptive, it doesn't work like that. So you facilitate, you collaborate, you servant lead, And then the third the frameworks under adaptive or agile is Scrum, Kanban, XP, and then also know the ceremonies. The ceremonies like a stand-up, daily stand-up, review meeting, retrospective, iteration planning, what again? Yeah. So these are the things, we call them ceremonies. So know them and know the artifacts. Artifacts are documents that you create in the process of the project, and also know the cycle that the product owner would populate the product backlog with the customer, and then the customer and the product owner will prioritize the product backlog, and the prioritized product backlog is presented to the development team or the project team, and they will pick what they can work on based on their iteration, based on the velocity. And I also said that the velocity is based on the number of story points the team can complete in an iteration. Okay, so you need to know this. And then the 4th, agile tools. I've explained burn down, I've explained backlog, I've explained velocity. So it's important you match these tools to the framework. And then the 5th one, hybrid projects, is a blend of predictive and agile. That's the key concept. And the exam tip for that is that you will tailor delivery plus governance. You will use predictive to plan and for reporting, but for the work itself, you do it iteratively. And then metrics. The metrics, how to determine whether you are doing well or not, is value delivery, early and consistent value delivery. That is value over schedule. And then for the PMP exam team, customer satisfaction must be greater than SPI. I'm assuming you all know what SPI is. SPI is the Schedule Performance Index that is calculated by EV divided by PV. EV stands for earned value, while PV stands for planned value. So if it is equal to 1, it means when it comes to schedule, you are doing well. If it is less than 1, it means the planned value is bigger than the earned value. It means that you are going to have time overrun. That's you will spend more time than you plan. If it is more than 1, if you divided EV, earned value, by planned value, and it is more than 1, it means you will finish the project ahead of time. The same with the cost performance index. When you want to check the efficiency of every single CD or every single dollar or every single naira that you are spending on the project. And the formula is EV divided by AC. EV stands for earned value, and the AC stands for actual cost. Now, if you divided EV by AC and it's 1, it means you are just efficient. For every dollar you spend, you are getting a dollar equivalent worth of work accomplished. If you got less than 1, what it means is you are spending more than the work you are accomplishing. It means the project is likely going to cost more. There will be cost overrun. If you divided EV by AC and you got 1 point something, it means you are very, very efficient. It means for every $1, you are getting value of 1 point something. So it means you are getting, for every $1 you spend, let's say when you divided it was 1.1, it means for every $1 you spent, you are getting value worth of $1.10 work done. So that is good. All right. So that is what we mean by cost performance index, CPI, and SPI, schedule performance index. And we are saying that if you are working in an adaptive setting, you should be targeting your customer satisfaction to be greater than both. And then when it comes to stakeholders, you have continuous collaboration. You have to work with them consistently from beginning to the end. You don't say, oh, I spoke to you yesterday. The next time you see me is 2 months. No, it doesn't work like that for adaptive or agile. And then you prioritize transparency and adaptability when it comes to the exam team. And that is why we are encouraging, what is it called? Information radiator or the Kanban board, where everybody can see where we are when it comes to risk, when it comes to performance, is visible to every stakeholder. It will be the board which should be placed in a conspicuous place where everyone can see it. So this is my summary cheat sheet. And like I said, this will be, the recording of this session will be on YouTube and the link will be shared. So I believe you can do it. If you are here, it means you are preparing for the exam. If you have tried it once or you haven't tried it before, as for me, I tell my story. The first time I wrote PMP, I failed. And I know why I failed. I was overly confident. I didn't see the need for exam prep or simulator. And so now for my student, thanks, Tina. For my students, I ensure that it is part of what they get, simulator. So I trust that you can do it. If you haven't attempted it before, don't worry. You can pass at first sitting. Most of my students pass at first sitting. If you have failed before, trust you me, the second time will be better because now you are familiar with how the questions are likely asked. And so when you are studying, you'll be able to pay attention to what you consider as important. So don't give up. Try again. So now it's time for the questions. If you have any question, you can drop it in the chat box for the Zoom. And TikTok, you can also drop it as a comment. I would attend to them. So for those on TikTok, you have to pay attention to hear the question. For those that are on Zoom, they can see the question, but I will try and read out the question. Yes, please. Is there any question? Do you have anything you want to say before we start the question and answering session? Or I should just continue? Those on Zoom, type something so that I know that you are with me. What are programs increments? The question is not clear. So-called PI. I'm sorry, I don't know what that means. Programs increments. Did I mention it today? Okay, so while we wait for Sue to give us more, or you can unmute yourself to address that. All right, so I wouldn't know what you mean by program increments, because we have MVP, minimum viable products, and you have MBI, minimum business increments. So minimum business increment is for an existing business that probably you want to increase. And then the minimum viable product is for a new product that you are releasing. So you are new to what program increments. So I don't know what I'm familiar with. Minimum viable product, minimum viable product, and minimum business increments.
Yeah, thank you, Jumoke. So it's me. Just for clarification, in my environment we have this PI, so we call it program increments, and we do agile, and we
Is this
have
color?
yes, and we yes, and we also have the PI planning, so the program increments planning, the iteration retrospective. It's just that we organize it at a high level with PIs, maybe something particular for the project, and I thought it was from the agile framework, but it may be something that we do only at our project level. But it's like an organization on top. So we have program increments, and inside we have several
Project.
several iterations, several agile iterations, planning, retrospective, and so on. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Thanks, Carla. You know, we have to be extremely careful when you are attempting PMI's PMP. And I say this because your organization is not the standard for for the PMP. And you are also not the standard for PMP. Sometimes when I'm treating questions, some people will say, no, but this is also right. I think this is like, then it turns into argument. But I'm answering the questions from the perspective of PMI's principle, So anyway, Carla, I would check that out if it is the adaptive terminology. But I know that for organization, you will have strategy, you have program, and you have projects. And so the strategy, the portfolio flows directly from the strategy. And we know that portfolio is made up of programs and projects. And then you have programs that the program is made up of projects. In that context, I would say you are increasing the value that the program would deliver. But from what you have said, if you are having program And what you have under them are iterations, because the iterations are the ways to get the objective of the project accomplished. Then for now, I want to believe it's a phrase coined by your organization, but we will revisit it. Please remind me if I don't get back to you. And then the XP is extreme programming. And what I know about extreme programming that is used for difficult, complicated projects, I don't really see questions that is exploring or asking you how XP is put in place, or you have pair or double coders or engineers working together, while one person does the coding and another person observe and then can give feedback and all that. That is it. What the exam is testing is your understanding of agile or adaptive in terms of team formation and how team works, in terms of how the scrum master or the team lead works, in terms of iterations, in terms of velocity, in terms of story points. And those are the things that they're asking, or that I know that they are asking, because it's been a while I wrote PMP. And also from the feedback, thanks for joining on TikTok. Please keep liking and sharing, inviting others to join. So let me quickly go through the questions, because I was trying to spend 1 hour. Let's run through the questions. And on one of the slides, you will see a barcode you can scan to chat with me directly, or join my channel so that we can continue the conversation. So this is the first question. Those on the Zoom, please, you can read the question. So 1, your team is working in 2-week sprints. Let me take that again. Your team is working in 2-week sprints. Midway through a sprint, a key stakeholder asks to add a high priority feature. What should you do as a project manager? A, accept the request and instruct the team to start working on it immediately because it's high priority feature. B, add it to the current sprint backlog to be addressed immediately. C, thank the stakeholder, log the request in the backlog, and evaluate it during the next sprint planning. D, reprioritize the current sprint backlog and fit the new feature in. So I'll count to 15, okay, for the answer. So drop the answers in the chat box. Thank you. So I'm counting now. 12, 13, 14, 15. Tina, I see A. Why, you didn't hear the question well? All right, so no, even before I do this, let me check what the answers predominantly are. Okay, so I see C, C, B, C, D, 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 B. All right. Let's check what the answer is. The answer is C. Who chose C? Can you unmute to tell us why you chose C? Are you going to talk or? Hello? Let me see who chose C.
I don't. Can I answer, please?
Yes, you can answer.
Okay. Thank you so much for the impactful session. Please, I'm out, so sorry for the background noise. I
Please.
chose C because the sprint is already underway, and key stakeholder is asking for a new feature to be added. But because there is a key stakeholder doesn't mean that once he requests for an additional features to be added, you just incorporate them. You have to evaluate them to see, I mean, the impact of it before you can add them. So that's the reason why I chose C, which gives us, I mean, the opportunity to evaluate it before we can add it to the current sprint. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. That's actually the answer. The reason why B is wrong is added to the current sprint backlog. Sprint backlog is the work to be done. You pick the work. So let's say I'm to design what is it? What's the design a website? And based on whatever features that you have given me, I've started work. And the work will take me 2 weeks, okay, based on my velocity and with my team. Then you came back 1 week into the period for my for the velocity to add the sprints, to add a feature. I need to determine the work to get the feature done. So the sprint backlog is not the same as the product backlog. Earlier, I said that the sprint backlog is the work to get the features or the user stories accomplished that you pick from the product backlog. So adding the feature to the sprint backlog, it means you have not broken down the work to be done. That is not the only thing wrong in option B, and addressed it immediately. You cannot put it in the sprint backlog and start working on it immediately. You need to put it in the product. Anytime you see backlog, there's no prefix, is the product backlog. So this backlog here is the product backlog. So you need to put it there. When you finish this current iteration or current sprint, you present it to the product owner. The product owner has already updated the product backlog with this high priority feature from the key stakeholder. And then the feedback on what to release at the end of the sprint, the customer will give feedback. And whatever the feedback is, because the existing backlog can actually be reprioritized. The fact that it was prioritized the first time doesn't mean that it will remain like that. As you work, the customer can change his or her mind, and then you keep reprioritizing. So that additional high priority feature will now be included in the product backlog and be reprioritized. I mean, the product backlog reprioritized, and then the project team or the development team will pick this prioritized backlog and pick what they can work on again. So you see, that is the right answer. So, and for those who chose D, reprioritize the current sprint backlog and fit the new feature. And I hope you got my explanation on what sprint backlog is. So question 2. A project uses predictive for regulatory documentation and agile for product development. Which is this an example of? A project uses predictive for regulatory documentation and agile for product development. Which is this an example of? A, incremental life cycle. B, hybrid life cycle. C, adaptive life cycle. D, rolling wave planning. So let the answers come. So this one I'll count 10. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. Thanks. This is quite impressive. You are 11 and I already see 10. And I will encourage you to participate. The worst that can happen is you will get it wrong, but you will never forget the lesson behind that. you know. So I don't want to check, because when I check, everyone sees what each person has given. So let's just go straight to the answer. It's hybrid, because it says predictive and agile. It's hybrid. You're not talking about planning. So rolling wave planning is out. You're talking about a project that is using a set, and is asking for product development. What example of product development is hybrid? So I hope you all got it right. Question 3. In an agile environment, who is responsible for ensuring that the team adheres to agile principles and removes obstacles? Good job, Tina. In an agile environment, who is responsible for ensuring that the team adheres to agile principles and removes obstacles? A, the product owner. B, functional manager. C, agile coach / scrum master. And D, project sponsor. Tina is on fire. 1, 2, 3. I'm counting to 10. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. It looks like it's very simple. Let me clap. AC. Question 4. A stakeholder requests for weekly updates, but your team is delivering working product increments every 2 weeks. What is the best approach? Most times when you see what is the best, it means all the options are kind of correct, but one is the most suitable out of the 4. So a stakeholder requests for weekly updates, but your team is delivering working product increments every 2 weeks. What is the best approach? A, explain that Agile does not support weekly updates and refuse. B, share the burn down chart weekly and provide a summary report. C, schedule weekly sprint reviews to meet their need. D, ask the stakeholder to wait until the next sprint. So I'll start counting to 15 now. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 9, 10, 15. Okay. Now, a stakeholder requests for weekly updates, but your team is delivering working product increments every 2 weeks. Sometimes you may actually not know the answer. But when you read the questions, like what I said, you are asking what development approach is this. You are looking at the option that will give the best value. It definitely, okay, don't let me say definitely. Explain that Agile does not support weekly updates and refuse. This is not being friendly with your customer. Share the burn down chart weekly and provide a summary report. Schedule weekly sprint reviews to meet their need. So this is the answer. You share the burn. Remember what burn down chart is. So if it is iteration by iteration, if your burn chart is reflecting the iterations, it means you have like a release plan that every 3 months you will release this. Every 3 months you do that. And within the release period, you have the number of iterations that you can accomplish. If you have set it that it's every week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, So you cannot change the velocity or the iteration period because a stakeholder just said, I want reports every week. And from this question, working products increments, you are delivering working products increments every 2 weeks. So it means your iteration is 2 weeks. So if you have the burn down, you can actually, and the person wants updates. weekly updates. So you can decide to be updating the bend down chart maybe every 3 days or every week, so that that becomes what a customer would see, and then provide a summary report of what the bend chart says, to interpret it. That's it. Is the most, let me peep into the most selected options. Oh, I'm happy. I see B. Okay. And some people are being smart. They chose B and C, B or C. But when you are writing the exam, you can only choose one. Okay. Now, question 5. Your project uses a hybrid approach. Agile teams are moving fast, but your clients expect monthly progress reports. This month, okay, let me keep it. What should you do? A, deliver only after sprint ends. B, ask the Agile team to slow down. C, integrate Agile updates into a format that aligns with the client's expectations. And D, change the approach to fully predictive. So I'll count to 15 again for you to provide the answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 15. All right. So your project uses a hybrid approach. Agile teams are moving fast, but your client expects monthly progress reports. So this shows that it's predictive. This monthly report is predictive. Deliver only after sprint ends. You wouldn't have been communicating, like engaging your stakeholders on that. Ask the Agile team to slow down, really. Integrate Agile updates into a format that aligns with the client's expectations. And the bend down chart is a good one. Incorporating it, yes, it's C. Thanks, Tina. Incorporating the bend down chart and the bend up chart will be very helpful, because the bend up shows the amount of work that has been done, and the bend down shows the amount of work that has not been done. So change the approach to fully predictive. No, because the project uses a hybrid approach. It means there's adaptive component of it, so you can't change. You cannot ask Agile team to slow down. No. So C is the answer. 6. Which metric is most appropriate for measuring performance in an Agile project? A, cost performance index. B, schedule performance index. C, velocity. D, planned value. This one I'll count up to only 10. Which metric is most appropriate for measuring performance in an Agile project? A, cost performance index. B, schedule performance index. C, velocity. And D, planned value. So let me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10. Let me peep. Okay, so most people choose C, and C it is. The cost performance index, the schedule performance index. When I saw this question, I'm like, because I had put this in the summary, they are mostly used for predictive measurements. Is the velocity. I said velocity is what tells us the amount of work you can do within an iteration, and I said it's based on story points, and the story point is based on the number of task or work that can be done. And so before you start the work, you have itemized all the work. You assign story points to each of the work, and then when the cumulative of the story point is what you said you can do in an iteration, and that becomes your velocity. And it said that you cannot even compare velocities of two different development teams together, because the component of what they are doing differs. Yeah, so it's velocity. 7, during a sprint, a developer identifies a potential risk that may impact deliverables, what should the Scrum Master do? During a sprint, a developer identifies a potential risk that may impact deliverables. A, escalate to senior management immediately. B, document the risk and discuss it in the next sprint review. C, encourage the team to resolve it and bring it up during the next daily stand-up. And then D, address it in the daily stand-up and facilitate a team discussion to resolve it. So I'll count up to 15 for you to please drop your answers in the chat box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Hey, drop the one drop one size. Okay, so I see 7. Still 9. Potential risk, potential risk. Okay, let's look at the answer. It's D. Tina. Remember that I said the daily stand-up meeting, you discuss what you did yesterday, what you will do today, and if there's any challenge or problem you come up with, you discuss it there. And then solution can be found. A, escalate to senior management immediately. No. For you to escalate anything to senior management, it means one, is out of your control. You know, in the team charter, you are going to have points of escalation. Yes, Nicholas.
Okay, thank you. Please, can you please clarify it well because I know in daily stand-up we do discussion, but I mean resolving it there is what I have a little challenge. If you can clarify it a little.
Okay,
Thank you.
let me. Most welcome, Nicholas.
Yeah, I have the same analogy. Hello, me too, I have the same analogy. Like in the daily stand-up, all what I know is that there we discuss problem, but we don't resolve it. We only resolve issues or problems at the retrospective. That is why I also pick D. I also pick C.
So
Because
what
the
is
D,
the problem you discussed during stand-up meeting, what is it for?
it is for what we did yesterday, what we'll be doing today, and certain impediments or blockers.
Okay, so when you have the blockers or the impediment, what is next?
What is next is that I believe we need to resolve it by discussing, but we not resolve it over there.
Discussion to resolve
Can I
it.
please come in again, please?
Please, before you come in,
Okay.
a team discussion to resolve it. It doesn't mean you are resolving it there. To resolve it. Yes, Nicholas, come in again.
Yes, please. I think you discuss it, but for the solution, you schedule. I mean, that's the SME. I mean, pick it up right from there.
The subject matter expert.
Yes.
No, is the subject matter expert? Wait, is the subject matter expert part of the team?
Okay, sorry, not necessarily SME, but a group of people take it up and resolve it outside the daily stand-up meeting. So they schedule a meeting after the daily stand-up to solve, I mean, the blocker that was identified during the daily stand-up.
Okay, so your understanding was this will be resolved during the daily stand-up meeting. Is that your understanding?
For me, my understanding is that for stand-ups, we don't resolve issues over there.
No, that's
We just
I'm saying
discuss.
that. Excuse me. I'm saying, what is your understanding of this D option?
And the D option, for me, I thought it is not an agile ceremony. Like under day stand-up, we don't do this. Like we don't resolve issues there. That's my problem with that.
Don't tell me what I say. Interpret what this option D means to you.
Okay,
It
for me,
means
I
that
thought.
Okay, senior, continue. Senior Nicholas, continue.
I thought that D is resolving it. That's what I understood it.
Resolving it at the stand-up meeting.
Yes, please.
Okay. Is that what it also means for the, I didn't check the name of the second person.
My name is Stephen Teji.
Okay. Stephen, is that
Yeah.
that was also your understanding?
Yes, please.
All right. So out of these three options, which one did you think is the answer?
I went for D.
You went for D.
Sorry, the C. The C.
Went for C.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Nicholas, what did you go for?
Okay, I went for B.
All right. So now
Yes.
let's look. So we have said that A, before you escalate, it means it is out of your power. You know, you would have established if it is at this point, this is where we are escalating into, but there's nothing that says it's out of your power. So A is out. Now let's look at B. Document the risk and discuss it in the next sprint review. What happens in sprint review?
We demonstrate, we showcase our product.
Okay,
The
so
sprint that
what will you be demonstrating when you want to discuss it during the showcasing?
oh no, that one there, you can't do it over there.
That is not the one you chose. I'm asking Nicholas.
Okay, sorry.
I will ask you your own when we get to C. Nicholas.
So for me, once there's a risk, the first thing is to document it. So that was my thought. So you document it first, and then the discussion, follow next. That's the reason why I chose B.
Okay, you actually sounded very predictive with the first thing I do is to document it, but this is the moment you see sprint, is saying is adaptive. So the next sprint review, during sprint review, you actually demonstrate through prototype work that you have done. It gives the customer the opportunity to affirm that yes, this is what we ask you to do, or to be able to appreciate the work you have done so they can confirm or otherwise. So if you are keeping a potential risk to go and discuss it while you are supposed to be displaying your understanding of the work done, then that wouldn't be sprint review. So that is why B is not the answer. Now C, encourage the team to resolve it and bring it up during the next daily stand-up meeting. How is that the answer? Because
For me,
let's say it's resolved. Why would they
yeah.
bring it up during the next daily stand-up? And I think sometimes saying our understanding of words and phrases is also misleading. Sometimes when we say deliver or delivery, the way people think of it is the end result. You are finished and you are delivering it. But delivery in a context could actually mean you doing the work towards the deliverables. Okay, so one of the things that happens in stand-up meeting, you talk about what you did yesterday, what you did today, and if there's a challenge, which can be a potential risk. And in that meeting, one of the team members could say, oh, that's a challenge. I know how to do it. And that's a way to resolve it. At that meeting, it will be taken that that person will help this team member to resolve it. If there's no one that can resolve it or understand how it can be resolved, then it becomes an impediment for the Scrum Master to find solution. Maybe now consider an expert to bring the expert in. But it has to be discussed there. Discuss here means whoever among the team is encountering, and it's clear a developer identifies a potential risk. So that developer will mention it at the stand-up meeting that this is what I have, I'm perceiving, or I can identify, or based on experience, this is likely going to happen, because we know that risk, even they've even helped us, risk is a futuristic event that is uncertain. So this potential means it's a likely risk that may occur. So he has said it. If there's anyone among the team that can help, for you to say you can resolve it, it means maybe you have experience, you have analyzed it or something, but it doesn't mean the daily stand-up meeting is 15 minutes. And there is no Scrum meeting that says you can go beyond the 15 minutes. So it doesn't mean you are solving it there. So remember, the Scrum Master, I say, what should the Scrum Master do? You facilitate the ceremonies. You are facilitating the what is it called? The stand-up meeting. So you facilitate a team discussion. So A says, if A is talking about it, he can't do it. Someone within the team, you have to check who can do this. Oh, I can do it. I can do it. Okay. A, this potential risk that you have identified, I'm going to, then the Scrum Master will tell us what is likely going to do, because it becomes an impediment. And what the Scrum Master is to do is to remove part of what he or she does is to remove impediments. So D is the answer. No other option is close to D. Question 8. If you have any question, further clarification, please, when we finish, you can scan, if you don't have my number, PMI members, especially Ghana chapter, they will have my number. But if you don't have my number, you can scan in Let's Chat for more information. Okay. Question 8. Or convince me why D is not the answer. But D is the answer. Question 8. A product owner in an agile team frequently reprioritizes the backlog. How should the project manager respond? A product owner in an agile team frequently reprioritizes the backlog. How should the project manager respond? Stop the product owner from making frequent changes. Encourage the team to ignore new priorities during the sprint. And sorry, let me read it again. A, stop the product owner from making frequent changes. B, encourage the team to ignore new priorities during the sprint. C, ensure the team is shielded during the sprint but embraces the reprioritization between sprints. D, remove the product owner from the project. So I'll count up to 10 for the answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so Nicholas, what's your answer? Excuse me.
Please, my answer is C.
Why
Yes.
C?
Okay. Okay, C, because the product owner is the one responsible for reprioritizing the backlog. And so to stop the product owner from making frequent changes, I think goes against the PMI principle. And then as a PM, also encouraging team to ignore new priorities also is not the best. And then D2, because the product owner is frequently reprioritizing you should remove the product owner from the project. You don't have that power. So I think C here is, the one addressing the question. Thank you.
That's the answer. A C, ensure the team is shielded during the sprint but embraces the reprioritization between sprints. Shielding the team means you are not changing what is currently ongoing in the sprint, okay? But then embrace the reprioritize. It means the reprioritized product backlog, you will pick the prioritized features or user stories from them. So C is the appropriate answer. 9. In a hybrid project, you are leading the agile portion. A predictive team complains they are not getting updates. What is your best solution? Anytime you see best always have it in mind that all the options are probably right, but one is like the best out of the four. A, the project, so you are the project manager or the scrum master for the agile aspect, and that there's another team for the predictive, and they are complaining. The predictive team is complaining that they are not getting updates. What is your best option? Tell them to attend agile ceremonies. B, create an integration communication plan to bridge both methodologies. C, ask them to adjust to agile space. D, replace them with agile-friendly team members. What are the answers? I'll count up to 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 15. Techi, is Techi still on the call? What's your answer?
Please, my answer was B.
B.
Yes, please.
Okay. B is the answer. Praise and sometimes the question, there is nothing directly in your study that says like a formula. But if you look at the options, you can't tell predictive team to attend agile ceremonies, because agile ceremonies are meant for most of the ceremonies are meant for the development team. You cannot also ask them to adjust the agile space. And you can't replace them with agile-friendly team members. So what makes sense and follow best practices will be for you to create an integration communication plan, so that, because probably the how the agile team is approaching the updates is different from what the predictive team is comfortable with. So it's important that you familiarize yourself with these approaches, and then you can come up with best practices. One of the reasons why the adaptive teams do well is because of their ability to think quickly in a manner that fosters the team collaboration, stakeholder engagement, customer value delivery early and then on continuous basis, and this will do that. The last question, the 10th one, what is the primary goal of a retrospective in Agile? A, update the backlog. B, plan the next sprint. C, evaluate stakeholder feedback. D, reflect on team performance and improve processes. This one, I'll count up to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hey, have you answered? Hey, shucks. Oh, yes. Why we have retrospective mainly is to improve processes and also reflect on how your team members have performed. So thanks very much for joining this. Connect with me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I appear there as Jumoke Lafenwa, that's my name. And on TikTok as @Jumoke Lafenwa, one word. And you can scan this to chat with me directly on WhatsApp, or scan this to join my channel, my WhatsApp channel. So we are done. Now is the time for you to ask me. It's 7:55, so we have 5 minutes for your questions that you may have. Any question for me? If you don't have question, let me know. Thanks, Tina. Thanks for joining and staying all through. If you also have any question, you can drop it. Any question? Nicholas, do you have any question?
No, please, I don't have. Thank you.
Nicholas, are you a member of PMI?
Yeah, I'm a member of the international body, but not the Ghana chapter.
Why are you not a member of the Ghana chapter?
I will join soon. Yes, please.
Oh, it means you are missing out on the publication. They'll be publishing the names of members. Let me stop the recording.
Okay, I